I appreciate everybody being on, and Belinda Luscombe from Time. Thank you so much. Very honored that you're here. And Caleb Collier from Church and State. Always a privilege to have you on. Rich Jefferson, Jeff Williams, Kim McMillan, and of course our guest of honor that will be our keynote speaker on June 15, best-selling author and public figure, Dr. Gary Chapman. Dr. Chapman, what I would like to do is for you and I to converse for just a little bit, and maybe we'll talk about some issues, talk about what people may expect on June 15, and then give our guests and media some time to interact with you. But first of all, I want to say thank you for being a part of our Summer 2025 Speaker Series, Conversations That Matter. We've got a number of national figures like Charlie Kirk and Lauren Green from Fox News, Dinesh D'Souza, but caring as I do about the family and marriages and parenting, I want to say I could not be more excited that you are part of this speaker series and you'll be one of our speakers. So on behalf of this event, plus the great work you do, Dr. Chapman, we thank you.
Well, thank you. I am delighted to be with you today.
Yes. So for those that may be unaware, I'm sure everybody has heard of your very well-known book, The Five Love Languages, but give a little bit of your background, not only your publishing, but your ministry.
Well, I've served on the staff at Calvary Baptist Church in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for 50 years, directing all of our adult education program and doing marriage and family counseling. So it's been a great journey. 2 years ago, I officially retired, I should have said. Right. But they let me keep my office and they let me keep my assistant. So if I'm in town, I'm still here every day seeing people. But I am gone more now. I have the freedom to do that, speaking in other places. So, yeah, but it's been a great journey. I've loved the reality of relating to the same people, over the years. And then actually, from time to time, I actually perform weddings. And now I'm performing the weddings for young people for whom I married their mom and dad many years ago. So there's something good to be said about staying put.
Youth pastoring since the late 1980s, I've done a few of those, the weddings of the children of my teens. And, in some ways it's a little depressing, but then in other ways, I guess it's encouraging, isn't it?
It is indeed, absolutely. And the fact that they would want to be married by the same person that married their parents, apparently their parents had a good marriage. So that speaks well too.
Amen. Amen. Hey, in traveling around, working with great communicators like yourself, I will say this, your book, The Five Love Languages, is the one book, doesn't matter where I am, university campus, traveling, Heartland America, everybody has either read or at least heard of that book. That is one book title that it doesn't matter where I am in North America, people have benefited from it. That's got to be pretty gratifying for you.
Well, it is. It really kind of blows my mind that it's gone universal. Been translated now in over 50 languages around the world, and it's sold over 20 million copies, which really does kind of blow my mind. But I think a part of the answer is it deals with one of our most fundamental emotional needs, and that is the need to feel loved. Mm-hmm. And I think when people read it and realize that it's not enough just to be sincere in expressing love, we have to express it in a way that's emotionally meaningful to the other person. And once the lights come on and they begin to discover what makes the other person feel loved and begin speaking that love language, it really does change the whole emotional climate of the marriage. And so then they want their friends to read it. And so it's really gone word of mouth from one person to another person. So it's been very, very encouraging, however.
Dr. Chapman, don't you think it's ironic that in the age of social media and people, online on the various platforms that might have thousands of friends and followers, but yet during COVID and the years since, psychologists tell us that loneliness is a growing problem. And even though we're immersed in quote social media, it's almost like we're not as social as we once were. That's ironic, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it's true. I think we got used to being online all the time, and we've substituted that for real person-to-person relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And consequently, there is a sense of loneliness. On college campuses all over the country, loneliness is a pandemic. Even though they're there, they're with each other, but they're sitting around on their screen rather than sitting around talking to each other. So it's been a phenomena, and I don't know what the answer is going to be, but I think we have to recognize that the screen and what happens on the screen and our relationship with people on the screen are never to be substituted for real live personal relationships.
What is your analysis of the state and health of the American family?
Well, I think on some cases I feel really good when I see families that are healthy and raising the children in a healthy setting, and the children feel loved and appreciated. On the other hand, we have to face it. There are literally thousands of children who are growing up with a single parent, typically the mother.
Yeah.
And more recently, many children are growing up with grandparents because both of their parents are either deceased or they are in prison or they're, just irresponsible, and grandparents are raising children. So, and we all know that the family is the basic human unit. This is true of humans regardless of culture. And if the families are not healthy and producing healthy children, then it sets us up for a society that is dysfunctional. And I think we've moved in that direction, which is really sad.
For those just tuning in, this is Alex McFarland along with our very special guest, Dr. Gary Chapman. He is the keynote speaker June 15th, our Conversations That Matter Summer Speaker Series. And you can learn more about that, alexmcfarland.com/conversations. We are bringing in a number of opinion makers, authors, and speakers to talk about morality, the culture, politics, and government, but that all-important foundational bedrock, marriage and family. And we encourage everyone to check it out and be there. And we're going to go to Q&A here in a few minutes with Dr. Chapman. And hey, before we go much farther, Dr. Chapman, do you have a website? And if so, what is that?
Yes, 5lovelanguages.com. Number 5, 5lovelanguages.com.
You and I both are ministers, served in the local church, served in a number of capacities, denominational ministry, and speaking, writing, preaching all around. But even aside from Christianity and the gospel, just the preservation of the family, really, Dr. Chapman, I am convinced, as goes the family, so goes the future of the country. I mean, there are a myriad of issues about which we're concerned, but I will say this, and I tell young people in all of our travels, our youth camps will be in front of more than 1,200 teenagers this summer. Hey, you want to have a stable life, you want to have emotional stability and happiness and prosperity. And volumes of research corroborate this, but a stable marriage, a committed family, that's just the key. And I feel like as a culture, not always, but very often we miss that priceless value of this universal opportunity to be a part of a family. We've got to reassert the value of family to this generation, don't we?
Well, I think that's exactly right. And as you mentioned, the marriage is the central part of that family. Mm-hmm. And that's why I've invested so much of my time and my energy in trying to help couples have the kind of marriage they wanted to have when they got married, which was a loving, supportive, caring relationship. They had it when they were in love, but then they come down off the high and those feelings evaporate, and then they see their differences, and end up in conflict, and then they have negative feelings toward each other. And in our culture, we are so focused on our individual needs and being happy that if we're not happy in the marriage and now we have negative feelings and conflicts, it's easy to bail out because I want to be happy. You're not making me happy. And so we have many, many broken marriages because that is kind of the theme in our culture. You want to be happy in your marriage. Well, I think you want to be happy too, but I don't think that's the grounds for giving up, because I think no matter how unhappy you are, and I remember stages in my early married life when I was unhappy also. And maybe that's why I have so much empathy for people who are going through that, because I remember going through that myself. But there's hope, and you can have a happy marriage, but there has to be learning, and there has to be choosing an attitude of looking out for each other's interests and seeking to understand each other.
Well, Dr. Chapman, what do you say to couples when they no longer have positive feelings for each other? When there's, and I've counseled couples where there's almost contempt for each other. So can the love and the care for the other one be reclaimed and reignited when the positive feelings are just all but gone?
I think they can, and I've seen many, many couples reunited in that situation. But we have to change our thinking and realize that love begins not with a feeling. Now, the in-love experience begins with a feeling, no question about that. But love for the long haul is an attitude, and we choose our attitude. An attitude is a fixed way of thinking, and the attitude of love is, I want to enrich your life. I want to help you become the person that you really want to become. And it's an attitude, a way of thinking. And then it's expressed in behavior. Mm-hmm. And that stimulates feelings. So we can't just sit there waiting for the feelings to come back, because they don't come back. Our feelings are up and down all the time, depending on the circumstances. And when we have negative circumstances in the relationship, then we have negative feelings. But what we have to start with is not waiting for, hoping for the feelings to come back. We have to start with choosing an attitude of love and then initiating, expressing it in behavior that's meaningful to the other person, which stimulates those emotional feelings again. Yes, we need to feel loved. It is one of our fundamental needs, as we said earlier. But if we're going to improve a situation where the feelings are gone, we have to change our way of approaching the whole subject of love.
If you could say anything to the majority of American fathers, let's talk about the fathers for a moment. What is your analysis of fathering in our country right now?
Well, in some places, of course, it's very good. There are many, many healthy fathers. There are other fathers who, for whatever reason, are not healthy fathers. Maybe it's just simply they're so busy in their own lifestyle and providing for the family and all of that, that they don't have a personal relationship that's very deep with their children. I remember a young man, I was attending a funeral of his father, and I did not know the young man. But after the funeral was over, I asked him, I said, how did you and your father get along? And he said, I never really knew my father. Mm-hmm. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, he had a job that took him away from home from Monday till Friday. And all day Saturday, he played golf. And on Sunday, he slept all morning and he watched football all afternoon. And he said, I just never got to know my father.
Yeah.
And I walked away with tears in my eyes, because sure. I'm guessing that father really felt like he was being a good father. He was providing for the family financially. Mm-hmm. And that is important for a father, to be sure. Of course, mothers can contribute to that also. But the fact that he didn't build a relationship, and for him, it was the fact that he was obsessed with his job and the nature of his job, and probably didn't have the vision of how that was impacting his son.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you know this, but some of the predictors of success in the life of a young person or struggle, it is directly contingent on the home life, but really so much on the role of the father. And things like drug use, substance abuse, destructive behavior, gang involvement, even incarceration, as I'm sure you know. Dr. Chapman, our ministry has done crusades in about 36 American prisons. And honestly, I could count on about 3 fingers the incarcerated men that I've interviewed, and I've interviewed hundreds that grew up with their father. Uh, 99% plus of the men behind bars did not have a positive male role model in their life, like ever. And that's a huge issue, isn't it?
Absolutely a huge issue. And that's why, my passion has been with marriage, trying to help people keep that marriage not just together, but make it a healthy marriage so that the child has a picture of what a healthy marriage looks like, where mom and dad are caring for each other, expressing love for each other, and expressing love to those children and giving them a model of what a healthy family looks like. Many people I've encountered who say to me, Dr. Chapman, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family, and I don't know what a healthy family looks like. And they're thinking in terms of marriage now. We're going to get married someday. I don't even know what a healthy family looks like because they never experienced that.
For those who may just be tuning in, Alex McFarland here, along with our very special guest, Dr. Gary Chapman, famously the author of The 5 Love Languages, and he will be our keynote speaker 7 p.m. June 15 in Myrtle Beach at the Greg Rolls Legacy Theater, part of our summer speaker series, Conversations That Matter. And we are so excited that he's going to be there. And in a few brief moments, we'll get to some questions from the media. Dr. Chapman, you and I were talking a few days ago, and you mentioned 2 absolute essentials for long-term healthy relationships. And I think on the night of June 15, that is largely going to be your subject matter. And folks, there will be open mic Q&A. This is your chance. America's relationship doctor will be live in person Q&A. But the 2 absolute essentials for long-term healthy relationships. Could you speak to that for a moment, Dr. Chapman? What are those?
Yeah, I really believe that these 2 things are essential. You can have long-term relationships without these, but you cannot have long-term healthy relationships without these 2. One of them is that we meet each other's emotional need for love, because it's one of our most deepest emotional needs. And that's where the 5 love languages is very, very helpful in equipping you with the knowledge of what will meet that need in the other person's life. So it's an essential to have a healthy marriage. And the second essential is that we learn to deal effectively with our failures, because none of us are perfect. You don't have to be perfect to have a long-term healthy marriage, but we do have to deal with our failures. And that involves apologizing and then choosing to forgive when the person apologizes. And I'll be talking that night about the 5 apology languages, because we have different ideas on what a sincere apology looks like. And so we may think we're apologizing. In our mind, we're apologizing. It's not registering with them that we're sincere. And so that is a huge insight, is learning how to express an apology in a way that's meaningful to the other person. Because what we're asking, if someone has hurt us, who we're asking, if they're trying to apologize, we're asking, are they sincere? But we judge sincerity by what we think a sincere apology looks like. And then I talk about forgiveness, because we have a lot of fuzzy thinkings about forgiveness. I'm talking about what forgiveness does and what forgiveness does not do. But if we get these 2 things straight, and we're meeting each other's need for emotional love, and we're dealing with our failures, we're on the road to having a really healthy marriage relationship.
I was going to ask you, what constitutes a healthy apology?
I think, first of all, it has to be sincere. And that is, we are really honestly acknowledging the reality that what we did was wrong. And it's also trying to communicate that in a way that's meaningful to the other person. And as I said, we all have different ideas, because chances are we learned how to apologize growing up, if we learned at all. My research indicates about 10% of the population never apologizes for anything. And most of those are men who learned it from their father, who said to them, real men don't apologize. So they've never learned to apologize. And I say to those guys when they share that, I say, well, your dad was probably a good guy. He probably did the best he could, but your dad had bad information. If we don't apologize, we're never going to have healthy relationships because none of us are perfect. And so sometimes we have to learn how to apologize after we get to be adults. And many times, if we don't go for counseling or read some books that deal with this subject, we go through a whole lifetime and never apologize for anything. And consequently, all of our relationships will be unhealthy.
Dr. Chapman, and we're going to go to questions from the media here just in a moment. I'm encouraged. I've seen this for a couple of years, but really last summer during our camps when we've got mature ladies that are mentoring the teenage girls at our camps and the guys with the young men. And interestingly, more and more of the young men that myself and a number of other valued colleagues, young men are asking about marriage and what do you look for in a wife, and childbearing and raising a family. And I've said that, because a lot of these kids, they come from a broken home and they've never lived under the same roof with their biological mother and father. And yet it's almost like they long for the family that they themselves have never really had. And I'm profoundly encouraged at the numbers of young people that one of their bucket list, their life goal, is to get married and build a family. And number one, that's encouraging. But number two, wouldn't you agree, it's just a universal human desire to be a part of family?
Yeah, I think it is. I wrote a book a few years ago called Things I Wish I'd Known Before I Got Married. 12 things I know now I wish I had known before I got married. And I put that in the hands of thousands of young people like you're talking about, who didn't have a healthy family and they don't know how do you do to have one, but we can have, and you're right. A high percentage of young adults say, I want to have a marriage that's healthy and that lasts for a lifetime. They haven't lost the idea that that's really what they want. And they can have that. And that's why we have to do everything we can to help the generation that's now growing up learn you can, even if you didn't grow up in one, you can have a healthy family.
Indeed. We look forward to hearing Dr. Gary Chapman live in person June 15 at the Greg Rolls Theater in the Myrtle Beach area. It's really kind of North Myrtle Beach. You can learn the complete information, alexmcfarland.com/conversations.